What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another highly combustible reaction. We're going to Australia. We're gonna go learn the history via animation. If you enjoy it, get over and show Sweeney all the love in the world. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's got to be. I'm right. Definitely go show the love. The link's right there inside the description. If you enjoy it, that's where you need to go. That's where you need to check out all of the other countries and all of the other things that have been done. Right down there. The link's in the description. Let's go on a journey, see what we got. Shout out to all the Australians in the house. Shout out to anybody who's living in Australia but not from there. Like, let me learn a little something. I've never been. I know that everything wants to kill you. I've never been to Australia, but I'm not opposed to going so long as I know that I'm safe.
This episode is brought to you by Skillshare. The first 500 viewers who sign up using the link below get 2 months of Skillshare absolutely free.
He's already got a very pleasant
Aristotle, Ptolemy,
voice.
and Macrobius believed that there was far too much land in the northern hemisphere, and that there must be some undiscovered continent balancing the globe somewhere in the south. Okay, so the logic was a little flawed, but during the age of discovery, the search was on for Terra Australis Incognita. Fast forward a few centuries to the East Indies. 3 Dutch sailors landed in Australia accidentally in the 1600s. The mythical southern continent had just been found.
And of course, it had to be found by the Dutch. But knowing what we know about Australia's animals, I bet it was terrifying to just like get there and be like, holy hell. There's so many things, snakes and crocodiles and damn sharks and spiders and koalas and damn kangaroos and you name it, like they got it.
Australia was the last of the New World to be discovered, because let's be honest, nobody cares about Antarctica. Australia was of course already inhabited. Indigenous Australians, also known as, had a population of between 300 and 700,000 by modern estimates. Early contacts with these tribes were as often peaceful as they were violent. It is thought that these groups arrived in 2 stages. The first was from the Indian subcontinent via a land bridge that connected Australia to the island of New Guinea, bringing with them the Pama-Nyungan language family. The second wave was much later.
I noticed that he skipped over the word. I don't know if you're not allowed to say it anymore, or if it's in it. Like I said, I'm learning. So if it is, then y'all can let me know down below. What's the proper term for the natives? You gotta have proper
and may
term,
have been
right?
Groups related to the Austronesians of Indonesia. Their culture and history was preserved through the oral tradition. The Dutch named the island New Holland after the county of Holland in the Netherlands, but it wasn't until the British landed on the east coast and named it New South Wales that Europeans began to settle. Landing in Port Jackson on the 26th of January 1788, hey, that's today, the so-called First Fleet arrived to found the colony of Sydney, with the intention of using the labour of prisoners to achieve wealth for Britain. However, contrary to Australia's convict founding myth, less than half of this First Fleet were actually convicts. In the 1800s, Australia was circumnavigated, mapped, and new colonies started springing up all over. Hobart, Newcastle, Launceston, Port Macquarie, Brisbane and Melbourne, with dozens of penal centres. Adelaide and Perth were founded as free settlement cities, but the latter was made into a penal colony after it failed to grow naturally. As the Europeans expanded, the frontier wars began with the Aboriginals, many of whom were hostile to the foreign invaders. Most famously, the Black War of Tasmania, which nearly wiped out the indigenous Tasmanians. But far more destructive to the Aboriginals was smallpox, which killed tens of thousands. Australia's growth would stagnate until the 1850s gold rush, which drew hundreds and thousands of settlers from all around the world in search for wealth, particularly in New South Wales and what would become Victoria. This would forever change Australia's character, with new free settlers overshadowing its convict past, bringing with them their ideas of European Enlightenment, the American self-determinism, and the Chinese hatred for the British. These gold diggers became discontent with the corrupt and badly run colonial elites and rose up in rebellion in the infamous Eureka Stockade. These settlers were beginning to feel a sense of nationalism, that perhaps Australia could be something different.
The more history that you learn, the more kind of native cultures and native people and native history that like we see, like, hey, we don't really know that much. Like, we don't know a lot of native history. The natives do, but I can't say that I've ever learned really about any kind of native anybody history. Like, there's got to be myths, there's got to be legends, there's got to be tales there. All we hear about is, oh, when it started. Yeah, we went there and we conquered the people. We went there and we destroyed the people. Like, everybody that's complaining about history needs to just like stop complaining, because it's been around the world that this kind of thing has taken place. Conquering and dividing, and damn, it's insane. We've seen it happen in so many places. Everybody had somebody living there at some point that was the original people. I want to hear those kind of stories. That would be kind of cool, to go down like a whole native of the world's journey where we're learning like legitimate, their kind of history, the way they saw things. You always hear history from the side of the victor.
Of change were on Terra Australis, and soon large-scale trade unions developed in Australia's largely working-class population from the ideas of orthodox Marxists. Trade unions still hold a significant influence over Australian politics today.
But let's not forget the rift that had been forming between Australia and Australians, the government and its people. Thousands of ex-convicts were being released each year, most of them turning to civil jobs, but a sizable minority turned to Australia's bushy frontier for freedom and profits. Policing was harsh, but order couldn't reach far enough. Outside of the cities, only personal gain and wealth could drive law enforcement. Money...
That's gonna sound crazy to some people. It would have sounded crazy to me before I figured out exactly how big Australia is. It's massive.
It would change hands and lips were sealed. In this climate, an Australian icon was born, Ned Kelly. Famous for his tin hat Robin Hood thievery, infamous for his cop killing and town raids, and recognisable everywhere for that nifty bulletproof suit.
That's a hardcore suit. He wasn't playing
For
around.
more on one of the most well-known cornerstones of Australian folklore, come to my channel, Feature History, and check out my video on Old Ned.
Okay, so besides bulletproof suits or whatever, most Aussie colonies were granted self-governing status and united to form the Commonwealth of Australia in 1901, a dominion of the British Crown. The new Australian government was very quick to open up a new dark chapter in Aboriginal history, the infamous Stolen Generation. Beginning in 1905, the government began rounding up half-castes, a term which is now highly offensive, and settled them into white families with the intention of breeding out their Aboriginal blood in a form of cultural genocide. Abuses of these children were also rampant, which is a rather depressing segue into the White Australia policy, a set of strict settlement acts which restricted immigration from anyone who wasn't British or Northern European up until about the Second World War. As a British colony, Australia would unilaterally declare war on Germany during the First World War.
That's horrifying.
Forming the Australia and New Zealand Army Corps, or ANZACs. The young nation was sent headfirst into war. Around 500,000 soldiers volunteered, or nearly 1/10 of the total population. The baptism of fire came during the Gallipoli campaign, when more than 8,000 men lost their lives in the failed invasion of Turkey, an event etched into the memory of the Australian zeitgeist. Although crippled from the Great Depression, Australia again took up arms in 1939 to support her mother nation in the Second World War, this time fighting in Europe, North Africa, the Pacific and South Asia. Prisoners of war in Malaya, Burma and Thailand were treated inhumanely by the Japanese, who also bombed Australia's northern coast about 100 times. Australia is still a very young nation, but it has emerged a very powerful force in the region, now a beacon of democracy, social progressivism and commerce, with its phenomenal urbanization consistently ranked among the world's most livable cities, walking the line between left and right with generous social programs, universal suffrage, a welcoming immigration policy, and attractive business prospects. This is John. John wants to learn how to play the didgeridoo he bought from a garage sale, but the lessons are expensive, so John will probably give up. But wait, John, you can learn for free over at Skillshare. In just 17 minutes with Paul Carlos,
That was a very cool transition into...
you can take a beginner's course in the didgeridoo. Skillshare is an online learning platform where you can learn a new skill, with more than 20,000 courses in design, business, technology and more. John's friend Sally wants to learn how to animate a kangaroo, so why not this lesson on After Effects by Kurzgesagt? And the great part is it's all going to be absolutely free for 2 months for the first 500 viewers who sign up using the link below. John and Sally made the right choice. Join them in just minutes a day to learn a new skill. Support the show on Patreon to vote for the next episode or download some of the artwork used in the videos. Thank you for watching, Until next time.
Hey, that was a brief look into the history of Australia, but it makes me want to take such a deeper dive. We're gonna let this play out all the way to the end, just in case there's anything hidden, and so everybody gets their due credit. Get over and definitely show Sweeney all the love in the world. The link's right there inside of the description. I need to know more. Where's all my Australians at? Let me know down below what the things I need to check out are, because there's definitely more to these stories than we just heard right there. And like that one is really like a smack. We're gonna try to breed their blood out of them. Come on. This just history shows you that humans at some point or another there were some horrible decisions made. The wrong people were put in charge. Greedy people. And you know what? Still the same today around the world. Definitely go show Sweeney the love. Smash the like button if you liked it, the dislike button, but I won't believe you at all. Till the next one, I'm either Combustible. You guys be happy, healthy, safe. I love you to the moon and back.